Hey everybody, it's Matt Shu from Upright Health. In today's video, we're going to talk about an exercise that one of Mitch's clients found really helpful last week in helping him turn on his glutes. This client came as a parachute program client. If you want more information on being a parachute program client of ours, check out the description box below for a link to our training page, and you can take our orientation course and see what options we have for people like you who want to train with us. If you are thinking about making your mobility and flexibility better, also go down to the description box because Mitch is accepting applications for people to work directly with him with an online training program that he's set up, and it's off to a really good start.
We like to use contract relax because it not only exposes you to a stretched position, but then we get to work on our muscles owning the stretched position using strength.
Now, as for the exercise, this exercise is really helpful for turning on your butt muscles. The client that Mitch was working with, Troy, shout out to Troy, had a lot of trouble feeling the glutes work. And what you would see is when he would try to use his glutes to even do like a hip hinge or something like this, he'd get like crazy shaking, his spine would want to bend. He would just not be getting the motion from or not be getting help in the motion from his glutes. So one of the exercises we've been messing around with recently is one that we've called the tuck pigeon, or maybe you can come up with a better name. If you come up with a better name, leave it in the comments below. But basically you're gonna go into something like a pigeon position, right? So we're sticking one leg in front of us and then the other leg's going behind us. And this front leg, we can play with the angle as well. It's kind of like working on a hip hinge, but messing around with that leg position. So we're trying to fold into it and then come back up using the glute. Now, I mentioned that we can change the angle on the leg, right? So I can keep it even parallel and go into the hip hinge like that and then come back up, showing it this way. Trying to keep the glute on the whole time, so the glute muscles are learning how to fire in this stage concentrically, and in this stage, as I'm getting closer to the floor, the glute muscles are learning how to fire eccentrically, so meaning they're firing as they're lengthening. This was a huge one. Troy basically told Mitch, hey, I think if I just did this, a lot of my stuff would get better, but obviously there was more to it than just that for him. But the keys here are to find an angle that, ooh, look at that dust, to find an angle that is a challenge for you and that gets into that portion of your glutes, the deep area around the posterior side of the greater trochanter. So if that means you're actually like more into pigeon, that's cool. If it means you need to have it straight, kind of in line with the rest of your torso, that's cool too. Some things that I've found for me that are useful can even be like a yoga block under my butt and then going down into it like so. I'm gonna move this just in case it's screwing up your view because I know it's dark on dark. So, right, you can go like so, working on it's basically like doing an active pigeon, right? But being willing to mess around with the shin position. So just doing that really helps fire up the glute. It makes that feel stronger so that when you then go into something like a bridge, or you're doing hip hinging, or you're doing a squat, you're able to feel those muscle fibers firing as you go deeper into hip flexion. You still want to be able to access those muscles so that when it's time to get out, they fire and up you go, and half of your body disappears from the camera's view. And then there it is again. Okay, so this is just one kind of exercise that you can work with to try to kick in the right muscles. It's not the magic exercise that works for everybody, but it's a really great way to get the glutes firing. Now, in terms of how often you're gonna do it and how many times does it take in one set, as with anything, just listen to your body, but general guidelines, you can do 2 to 3 sets of 5 to 10. Do them slow and controlled So don't rush, don't try to go like super fast, right? Just very slowly, very carefully. Make sure you feel those muscles firing the whole time. And then as far as how many times in a day and how many times per week, start off with once in a day. Probably just start with 3 times a week. If that feels really good and productive, maybe you want to bump it up to 4. You probably don't want to start off doing this one every day because your glutes are probably going to be a bit sore after you start this. But if you're finding that it's really helpful and your body adapts to it well, you know, obviously listen to your body and you can give it a try, do a little bit more if you want. If you want, you can also use assistance. You could use a couch, you could use the wall, something to help you balance, especially when you find areas where you just feel like you're not stable, or it's like, ooh, a little bit sticky, or something's like a little bit too intense. You might just want to hang out there and think about contracting the glutes to push the knee and the shin down into the floor so that you feel the butt muscles firing. This exercise can be super helpful if you feel like just doing normal pigeon results in pinching in the groin. It can just be really helpful for all kinds of issues. So give it a shot, see how it goes. If it helps you, leave a comment down below, let us know. If you have a really good name for it, I don't know, active tuck pigeon, active something, something, whatever. You have a better name for it, let us know what that is down in the comment section below. And again, if you actually want to train with us, if you want guidance from one of the coaches at Upright Health, be sure to check the description box below. We'll have the application to train with Mitch with his mobility training program. And we'll also have the link to training with us if you want to do something like the parachute program down in the description box as well. I hope you find this helpful, and I hope that you always remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't.
Every time